What is going on, guys? It's your boy Dreamer from GotBetterBeats.com, and I'm here again with another video. And if you knew the crazy troubleshooting and stuff that I've been going through, I upgraded my computer, so for some reason I had to just reinstall everything, all of my settings on OBS, the audio software, just everything. It was just like, and so it's been crazy trying to get everything. So I'm hoping that this is it. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Today we're going to do a mix review on a beat that I did. The beat making video, it got kind of garbled up, and the quality wasn't good, and I didn't want to deliver that to you guys. But there will be more, so make sure you guys check out the site. I'm going to give you guys a coupon code in the middle of the video, just for hanging around. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just let you hear the loop that I started this beat off with, and this is what it is. And I might not go through every single sound if it just has a little EQ on it, or I might not spend a lot of time on it just not to drag out the video. So as you can see, I have a little low end taken out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disengage it. And I'll let you know why I applied the EQ when I engage it. Okay. And this is the EQ that I applied. And as you can see, I just have a low cut, and I just kind of took out some frequencies. As you can see, I just have a low cut, and I just kind of dipped out a few frequencies that were, just being a bit much. So I just wanted to kind of tame some of those frequencies. And the main reason why I took so much out of the low end, because they have a bass line in there, and I do have the stems to this loop. But, I just wanted to carve it out, and, that way it wouldn't clash with the 808. So let's put this back here. All right. This probably could be like this. Okay, so next, what I did here is I just had the loop, but I added a phaser to it, and I'm using the Native Instruments phaser. It's called phases or faces, however you want to pronounce it. But and I just kind of slowed it down just a little bit. That way it will kind of get out of the way for the artist, because it added a good bit of a filter and also a little bit of movement. So it sounds like this. So, I kind of like the way that sounds, and it just kind of moves out of the way, because what I'm going to do is, and I just have it, low cut there, and just a dip and just a boost there. And the main reason I put the little boost here is just to add a little bit of clarity, because the phaser was kind of, making it a little lo-fi. And I just put just a little bit of probably maybe 2 dB at 500, just to not be so thick in the lower mids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and I'm going to disengage it, so you'll see what I mean with the phaser, just making a little more room for the artist. So being that they have those vocals in the loop, I just wanted to get those out the way, and the phases kind of helped me do that. So I added in some piano chords, just to kind of add to the loop, just to really just add add another dynamic to it. And honestly, I added in this SSL style EQ, but I actually didn't use it. So, and with the Pro EQ, I'm just taking out some of the highs and the lows and doing the mid dip, mainly just to kind of tuck it back in the mix. And I added a delay on there just to give it a little atmosphere. And next I have this pad, and in the pad, I really have it tucked back in the mix, and I'm using a little bit of chorus and spread just to kind of spread it out to the sides. That way it leaves the mids for the artist. And you'll hear it. You when I play the loop, you'll actually see that it actually blends very well where it really doesn't stick out when I play the loop. So, and that's kind of what I wanted. I kind of wanted it to be tucked back. And we get to the 808, which is one of my favorites. And as you can see, I have a few more plugins and a couple sends on the 808, but I'm going to explain those because it's not as much as you think. So let's hear it first. Okay. So, and as you can see, that's really not even, hitting at 12. It's probably hitting at about 16. So, and the main reason why is because I have everything gain stage if you actually pay attention here. And the main reason I'm gain staging is because I'm having to give myself some room because I like to add saturation and punch to my mixes. So I got to make sure that, I'm having the headroom that I need. So as you'll see on the Pro EQ, I'm just dipping out, low cut on the filter. And I went higher than normal. I went up to about 50, mainly because I have a kick in this as well. And I kind of wanted to kind of round off where the kick is mainly going to be hitting. And I'm just dipping out right around 500 and 2K and doing a roll off on the top end. So not a lot, just kind of having it where it tucks back. And and this is one of my favorite bass plugins, the Black 76 from T-Rex. Sometimes I use the Waves version as well, but it seems like the T-Rex version just adds a certain amount of saturation that just sounds right when I put it on. So I'm going to play it with it, and I'm going to disengage it. So honestly, the saturation in this 76 plugin just kind of really adds it in where it's needed. So I really enjoy that. Okay. And the cool thing that I do like about, T-Rex plugins is that they sound really good. And most of them have mixed knobs as well. Okay. And as you'll see, I do have the C1 disengaged. I normally use this as my go-to for sidechaining my kick, but I was just thinking and I decided to use the Pro EQ. So being that the Pro EQ actually has, the dynamic EQ now, I decided to just, instead of, I thought maybe I could just duck out the low end instead of ducking the whole 808. And it sounds pretty good. The only thing I would say is it may not work on every instance because, even though it does have the dynamics, it doesn't have where you can set the attack and the release. So, um, so the Pro EQ3 will probably not work in every scenario, but it did work with this one. Let me engage the kick. That way you can hear it. So as you can see, and I gave it just a little bit of a boost, and I brought the range down to where it'll pretty much take it down about 6 dB on the high end. I mean on the low end of the 808. And as you'll see, I do have this classic compressor working as the parallel compression, and I don't have it doing too much on there because the drums and 808s I use are all already kind of punchy, so I'm not doing too much. And next I also have a parallel and it says Fuzz Plus. I started off with Fuzz Plus, but this is actually, I'm gonna just put distortion here. So I put the Camel Crusher in there, and I'm not using it a lot. I just really wanted to add some, just a little bit of distortion on the higher end of the 808. So you'll actually be able to see, like, if I push it up more, I can actually hear more distortion. And I also put an EQ in there just to kind of, take some of the fatness out of the parallel and just add in just a little high end or upper mid range, just because I just really wanted a little more fuzz. So it's a little subtle, but I have it where I would like to, you know, keep it. And let's see. With the drums, I'm gonna actually show you what I did with the drums together. And like I said, I do have everything gain stage, and the kick is hitting at -12, and that's mainly because, I want to make sure that, because if I have the kick like at around 6 dB and I'm trying to push everything into the limiter, I'm probably gonna kill the dynamics of everything in my mix. And it's gonna cause me to really try to, drive a lot of things down, which would really waste more time. So that's why I really utilize top-down mixing a lot more these days. So with the kick, I just added a little bit of a limiter on there, and not really enough to where it's really squashing anything. I think you might be able to see it, a quick release on there. Um, as far as the release, like, it might be kissing the limiter, but it was sounding better to do it this way than to do the initial clipper plugin and some of the other clipper plugins that I had. So this was actually sounding better than those. So it was just making it just a little more just a little beefier. And as you can see, I do have my parallel compression and the side chains. So with the clap, I just had to EQ it out because it had a lot of low end on this clap. I got this out of the machine library. Hi-hat was pretty standard. The open hi-hat, and I just added a de-esser on there and a little bit of a delay. With the snare, I had to do a little more, just a little more dissecting with the EQ to really get it right. And this dip right here, it was just a ring that was at the top of the snare. And I just wanted a little bit more of that low end so it would actually be nice and thick. And as you'll hear, I did put a reverb on the drums, and very short reverb, just a drum room type of plug-in. So and it sounds really good. It added just a little space and dimension to my drums. Sometimes when you don't add reverb, your drums, they sound a little flat and two-dimensional. And then if you give them some space, sometimes it just kind of, it adds a little, it just adds a little excitement and an atmosphere to your drums. It just kind of come alive just a little bit. And everything else is pretty much like, this is just a percussion that I had. And as you can see, it's very tucked in the mix. You can barely hear it. Probably feel it more than you hear it. I can go over my buses. Normally when I get to my buses, I don't really have to do a lot. At that time, I'm usually just doing like maybe some saturation, EQ, and a little compression for glue, just to glue everything together. I'm normally not doing too much heavy lifting on the buses. As you see here, I have the Slate VMR, and I love Slate stuff, especially the Virtual Mix rack, man. Like, they have some really good sounding stuff. So I have the saturation plugin right here. I'm using the New York for this one, and I just turned up the saturation a little bit. I left it on preamp and normal. Sometimes if you go to push, it does, push it a little bit more. But, with that loop having that, like the reverb on the high end and stuff like that, I really didn't want to push a lot of that, because once I get to turning that up, it really sounds, and I'll let you know what that sounds like. So what I'll do is I'll start at 1 and I'll go up all the way to 10. Okay, and it didn't get too crazy, but if you have on some headphones, you can kind of hear what it was doing, and it just kind of really adds in some harmonics. So, all right. So, and I just shaped it up with a little bit of a Neve console, just dipping out here at 110 and 360, and boosting a little bit at 3.2K, and just taking some of that top end off, which I'll add in just a little more. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, it actually sounded better with it just up just a little bit. So after that, I added the LA2A, well, the FG2A in this instance, just to add just a little bit of compression and compensate it with the gain. All right, and the drums, as you can see, I have a few more on the drums, and this is a new plugin for me, so this is my first time using it, so I can't really rave about it, but I can tell you that in this instance, it sounded really good. So, and it's also free from Softtube. Softtube makes some amazing plugins. I've been looking at the I can't even. My mind went blank. I've been looking at the console one for quite some time now, and it's something that I would definitely like. I like the hands-on integrations, and being that you can kind of put it on every plug-in and just kind of be hands-on with it. I'm actually liking that. So that might be part of the arsenal. Sometime in the coming months. And I see they have I think it's the Mark III. I think it's the third one, I believe. So it's dope. So so with this right here, I just wanted to try it out. So I did use it. It was sounding really good. And I added on the classic clipper. Not doing too much. I just added a little input and uh and tried to gain match it by taking out 5 dB and turning it more to the hard clipping side just to give it a little, just to give it a little bit of a push sound. I mean, just to add some heat, you know. And I added fresh air just for some high and mid air. So not doing too much. I didn't want everything to be, too like too sizzled out. You know what I'm saying? Like you start adding too much high end, everything starts to sound brittle and crazy. And just added in a de-esser. That way I can make sure that I take some of those high end, the high frequency, tame it a little bit. So it's mainly just a little bit of the hi-hats, and every time the snare hits, it probably takes it down about 3 dB. And for the bass, I have just the low cut. I try to make sure that I do that twice if I can on the bus, just to make sure that it's not really coming through. Because you really don't want, you really don't want those sub frequencies. For one, it's going to take up a lot of headroom on your mix, and you're going to wonder why you can't get the headroom that you're looking for. And it's just, sometimes when you get that muddy sound, it's just because, you really got like unused, like stuff that really doesn't need to be in your track. It's taking up space. And the compressor, I could say so many things, like, this right here is like one of my go-tos for drums, especially. I haven't used it a lot on vocals, but I do plan to use it on vocals, really just to see what it is. And it's an emulation of the Distressor plugin. Normally I use this on my drums, but today I use it on bass, and it really adds a nice grit and bite on, on the on this bass. And I'm gonna let you hear it. So this is gonna be with it, and I'm gonna disengage it. So as you can hear, it adds like a like, it just almost makes it come alive. You know what I'm saying? It adds excitement, not only compression, but it adds grit, a little bit of distortion and excitement to it. To me, it kind of feels like it takes it from 2D to 3D. And, and one thing that you'll realize too, when it does come to mixing, that a lot of stuff is very subtle. I always thought that early on, when when it came to mixing, it was just about, oh, get the levels right, everything will fall in place. But sometimes, you add certain things to this, and you take away some things to this. That way, everything will be cohesive. And some of the most subtle things make the biggest impact. And Infinity Bass, this is another Slate plugin. It's one of the newer plugins, and I actually really like it. It's kind of like a bass saturation. Well, I guess it is more than saturation, because there's a bass exciter here, dual band subharmonic synthesizer, a monophonic synthesizer, and a bass focus all pass filter. So as you can see, I see why they call it Infinity Bass, because you can do a lot with this plugin. So Okay, so let's hear how this sounds. Okay, and here on the main, I have 4 plugins, but they're really not doing that much. I'm just doing like I'm using the Violet EQ. This is the one from the SSL Fusion, the SSL native bus compressor, and the virtual tape machine. It really smoothed out the drums for me. So that, I had to use this. So if you want to know what that sounds like, let me get that going for you. So it just kind of adds in a roundness to the low end. And you can actually do this with some other plugins as well. But being that I have this, sometimes it's easier to just throw this on. And the last plugin that I have here is one of my favorites. You'll probably see this in most of my, mix breakdown videos and stuff like that, because, it's pretty much my VST SSL Fusion version, so it's one of those all in one finishing plugins for me. Sometimes I just like to throw this on just to be able to add in some air, body, the push. This is a little compression, the volume, and just to finish up my track and give it a little polish. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this. I do hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Well, it really wasn't a tutorial. I do hope you guys enjoyed this mix breakdown. If you guys want more videos like these, let me know. I do have some beat making videos coming along, so if you want to go ahead and let me know what you're having issues with, I may be able to touch on those subjects in the next video. And I'll see you in the next video, so make sure you guys subscribe because more is coming. I'll see you in the next video.